Hello, everyone. Welcome to another panel discussion brought to you by Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. I am Sharanya Bhattacharjee, Marketing Specialist at Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, and today we have a very interesting topic. So, the topic for today is: would calls for a 6-month blanket moratorium on AI development and research achieve the actual intended purpose? So, just to give a background to everyone, key personalities in the technology space are actively promoting for the training of powerful AI systems to be suspended temporarily amid fears of a potential threat to humanity. They have signed an open letter warning of potential downfalls and risks and have categorically mentioned that the race to create, develop, and upgrade AI systems is almost out of control. Twitter chief Elon Musk has been very vocal recently about the need to halt the training and developments of AI models above a certain capacity for at least 6 months or more. And this letter has also been signed by researchers at DeepMind and Apple co founder Steve Wozniak as well. OpenAI, the company behind the masterstroke of ChatGPT, has recently released its newest update in the form of GPT-4, which has exceptional abilities, including describing the images in the object and such others. Furthermore, the letter from Future of Life Institute and signed by numerous technopreneurs urgently brings attention to the probable future risks that advanced systems could possess and the subsequent need to halt all the development and research for some time. As panelists for today, we have with us Mr. Allen, CEO and founder of Parashift, Mr. Mahesh, CEO and founder of Cubotica, Mr. Apurva, Associate Director Research, Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, and Mr. Ramandeep, Senior Analyst at Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. So let's begin. Over to you, Apurva.
Hey, thank you, Saranya. And it's a pleasure to interact with all the esteemed panelists. So, let me just take a step back and understand what the key areas have been presented in the letter. Okay, so what does the letter focus upon? Uh, there are a couple of bullet points. I'll really move through it quickly. The first one it mentions is that whether the world is prepared for an AI storm, right? What they want to imply, I think, is that it wants AI, that AI could cause a flood of information through the channels, and there are possibilities that it could get converted into misinformation. It could replace jobs with automation, so on and so forth. The second point in the letter is that should we be developing competent and cognitive non-human minds that might eventually outnumber, outsmart, obsolete, and probably replace, that could probably obsolete and replace us as well, right? Uh, what it really means is that AI systems could be posing significant risks to democracy through weaponized disinformation. It could be, a threat for employment through displacement of critical and life-saving human skills, and for education through, say, plagiarism and demotivation as well, probably. The third point that the letter mentions that I understand is that advanced AIs may pose a more general threat to overall human control over our civilization, right? It could be interpreted that in the longer run, taking sensible precautions would be a small price to pay in order to mitigate these risks. That's what the letter's basic crisp understanding is all about. Over to you, Saranya.
Yes. So thank you, Apurva. I'll just start by asking you a question, which is, does the letter by leading global technopreneurs, including Musk, Wozniak, and the likes, genuinely portray concern about the possible devastating ill effects of AI if continued to be worked upon uncontrollably?
That's a good one. Actually, the answer is right there. It's kind of a big irony out there, and I'm sure everyone has a very strong opinion on that. Uh, what I'll do is I know we have limited time. I'll just quickly skim through some facts and some very glaring facts as well, right? And let's see where it leads to us, right? Uh, I think the question that we need to ask ourselves is, does it genuinely portray, concern about the possible devastating and global affecting ills due to the effects of AI if continued to be worked upon uncontrollably? That's point number one. Or is it a smart way for the technology giants to ensure and maintain their current grip and their current control over the biggest technology developments responsible in the world, thus making this entire exercise kind of a cliched effort in the global capitalistic market, right? Uh, that's the question that I'm asking, and the direction of the question pretty much tells us the answer, right? But obviously, this is an open discussion, and I'll go through, skim through quickly some points, right? Uh, in a recent blog post, OpenAI had, warned of the risks if an artificial intelligence, or an artificial general intelligence were developed recklessly. What they told in the blog post was a misaligned super intelligent AGI could cause grievous harm to the world. An autocratic regime with a decisive super intelligence that could lead to do that, right? Now, just let's go through these facts. This was the blog post by OpenAI, right? Let's take a step back and understand what the global position here is. A recent, I mean, if you're going through the news and blogs, I'm pretty sure due to security concerns, due to technology concerns, time and again, especially in countries like the US, in the UK, in the entire EU, there have been numerous proposals for regulation of technology, right? The UK has actually ruled out still a dedicated regulator for AI, right? This definitely shows that concerns and excitement about AI are in equal measure, and and also the fact that if its development and the forms, if they go uncontrolled, then obviously it could be a cause of concern. So people are thinking in that direction. Let's cut to a completely different point here, right? Let's talk about Mr. Musk quickly. Mr. Musk obviously was a co-founder of OpenAI. Now he also resigned from the board of the organization a couple of years ago, and since then he has tweeted critically about its current direction, right? Another fact, non-related, but yes, it's actually related. Just in January, Microsoft announced their third phase of their long-term partnership with OpenAI through a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar investment to accelerate the AI breakthroughs to ensure that these benefits are broadly shared with the world. Now, Microsoft and Epic recently as well, they announced that their long-standing strategic collaboration for developing generative AI into healthcare would be done by combining the scale and power of Azure OpenAI services, right? Uh, this is another interesting fact, right? Let's go back to Musk, right? Uh, Now, Musk is also involved with Tesla, obviously. Now, interestingly, the autonomous driving functions made by his car company Tesla, like most similar other systems, they obviously use the AI technology, right? And the letter by Musk, what it tells now, let's try to connect all these points, right? And then letter by Musk and the other leading technopreneurs to the AI labs. What does it say? It says that there should be an immediate pause for at least 6 months in the training of these AI systems, which could be more powerful than a Chat GPT-4, right? Uh, in this context itself, while calling attention to the risks of large-scale AI models like those made by OpenAI, Musk is also falling for a couple of Musk, in spite of all this, within a couple of months, is also saying that he's working on something called Truth GPT, right? And it is a Chat GPT alternative, which acts as a maximum truth-seeking AI, right? And this vision for the AI rival, it was, recently revealed by him during an interview with Tucker Carlson. And the reason he says that he's doing so that there would be an alternative approach to AI creation, which was needed to avoid the destruction of humanity. Couple of quick points about Truth GPT, right? When he mentions Truth GPT, it's basically that he's going to start Truth GPT as a maximum truth-seeking device, and that it will be the best path to safety in the sense of AI, that would be caring about the understanding of the universe, which would be avoiding to annihilate humanity. That's quite something, right? And in the further same breath, he also mentions that Truth GPT is actually a course correction for OpenAI, and that the AI software nonprofit he helped found, which he has since begun operating for a profit subsidiary, right? When we try to connect all these points, it's not actually clear how far Musk Truth GPT actually is, if at all it exists at that point. But it seems that he's actually serious about it, since he's actually brought up the model during the said interview, right? Last point, right? Musk has also recently threatened Microsoft as he has accused the technology giant of using the data from his social media company without permission. And what he says, and I quote, is that they are training. I mean, they have trained illegally the using of Twitter data, and a lawsuit has been filed against me. Right. So if you connect all these facts, I think the irony or the paradox of the situation is pretty obvious, right? A person who started the OpenAI company, now it's taking leaps and bounds ahead, and then to sue Microsoft itself. So it's all very tumbled up, but I think it all speaks in the same direction. Ultimately, to conclude my answer, what I would be saying is that it it I think it's more of an ironical fact that the biggest techno entrepreneurs out there are calling for a sudden ban on AI development when it could actually be going in a very systematic and a very detailed direction. The entire effort from my side right now was just to present the journey so far, and I think Saranya, you could go ahead with the other questions.
Yeah, okay. So, nice answer, Apurva. So, my next question would be to Alan. So, Alan, my question to you is, what are the potential ethical concerns associated with AI development and deployment, and how could a moratorium on AI advancement help address these concerns, and what are the potential drawbacks?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is it's already a very biased question, basically, because it's there are already some, or yeah, to large extent, some assumptions are baked in that are totally in question, in my view. Um, so first of all, I've been in the machine learning and AI industry for, yeah, basically 10 years now, and what I've seen is that there's a lot of hype going on over and over again, and the fraction of people that actually are building stuff and know what they talk about when it comes to AI, it's super limited. And so what we've been looking at, in also with respect to OpenAI, etc., is that the show is great. So having the large language models connected to a chatbot that's actually able to talk to you in a way that, yeah, I think it's an unmet customer experience, basically. Um, this is the great part. But if you look at results, also from in the document sphere, for example, um, I am very hesitant of the results, and I see that a lot of the results that we see there, just from a factual point of view, um, are are as limited as we know them from other AI advancement we've made in the past 5 years. So as a professional in this industry, I'm sort of, well, fearing that we might run into an AI winter very um, soon again. I know this is counterintuitive towards the hype that's out there right now, but there's this back and forth where people are realizing they are typically overestimating the progress technology makes in short term, and then underestimate the progress we are making in the longer term. So they get disappointed by not seeing these superb results. And yeah, so that's why I think that the ethical questions are a bit far-fetched, but this also has roots in sort of a philosophical concept, maybe. Um, I think technology is an extension of humanity. That means that we are actually building stuff that we sort of evolve through building technology. That means we're improving humanity. You can be of total different belief, but I think this is the logical outcome we have. And the one thing I also learned in my life basically is that you cannot um, cannot hold back any technological development. It's just impossible because it's in the nature of humanity that we are explorers. Most like everything that can be tried will be tried, and so there will be somebody out there that just will just do it. Yeah, this is just like that's how we got to artificial hearts and all these kind of things that are odd from a human perspective, but we do this, and we get to the next level out of that. So I think with regards to the moratorium, I think it's a bad joke, to say this very clearly, and I would sort of pay into what you say, Apurva, about what Musk is doing, etc. So a break won't bring us anywhere. Now, if you look behind what's happening, what I can see, and this is really what I think is a game changer. You know, my company, PowerShift, is actually a very small company. We're roughly 50 people, and I was for quite some time thinking we couldn't get our hands on large language models until last summer, basically. When all of a sudden we realized, okay, there's open source stuff out there, training cost comes down. It's almost like a Moore's law in AI, where you can see, okay, we can do a lot more. Now we're having our first large language models. They're not comparable to what OpenAI did invest, of course, but in the sector of documents, we're actually able to achieve a lot of these things. And of course, spotlight is on Musk and Microsoft, and don't forget that Bill Gates and Musk has some open bills between each others, so that will pay into all that. So I think that's big. How we say it in Europe, that's big tennis. It's a cool show. But you can be sure that apart from that, where there's no spotlight on, there are people with a lot of money working on stuff, and there's absolutely no way to even find out that these people are working on those kind of things. And they're not going to Lex Friedman interviews. They're not doing blog posts. They just get the stuff running. And I think there's absolutely no question if we can hold the development. And with regards to the questions, then the thing of are there ethical concerns? Of course, with every new technology. But I think, if you look at the history of humanity, we've been pretty good not to kill ourselves with the new technology. And it's not that we didn't have technology that could kill us big time. So I think we need to be, the world will be changing, technology will be accelerating. But it will probably go slower in the short term, and we will be, if we're looking back like in 20 years to today, the world will again be very, very much different than it was 20 years ago. So, to summarize, what my answer is, I would sort of emphasize to look at it in a differentiated way at one hand, and also in the other hand, also try to don't panic. Either of excitement or if of despair, what the future with this technology might bring.
Right. What an insightful answer, Alan. So, my next question would be to Mahesh. So, Mahesh, my question to you would be, do you think it is feasible to implement a moratorium on AI development?
Interesting question. So, great answers from the other panelists so far, from Alan and Mandeep. So, in terms of whether it is feasible, obviously it's not feasible, right? So I think the excitement, the amount of, this is not just a start of something new, right? This is a culmination of multiple things coming together, right? So we had the infrastructure, the data, the amount of research that went into creating this, right? It's just not like a start of something new. So I think that something needs to be understood, and it's not something unique as well, right? Again, a combination of stuff that we use it in a day-to-day fashion, and so it's impossible. That's the main answer, right? So it's impossible to stop it. But then now, and also the interesting fact that who brought it up was the whole question, right? If it is a legislator, a researcher brought it up, then it would have been, what, we could actually put some emphasis to this. And so the primary beneficiaries of the technology, and then kind of really kind of turning around is kind of really made this question a lot more interesting than it ever would be, right? So where do we go from here, right? So it's obviously it's like anything. It's like Alan was saying that humans are very good at not killing ourselves. We have been having the nuclear bomb from the 1960s, 70s, and like we have been very diligent in how to use it. Barring a couple of occasions in the histories, and in fact, it goes long here before that, right, in 1940s and 30s. So it's like, how do we actually bring it together? Obviously through collaboration and some establishing some regulatory frameworks, a lot more education, a lot more awareness amongst the legal bodies and cooperation. That's the only way to do this, and also to an extent from the industry itself. The industry, if you think about it, the industry all excited right now. So there's going to be some level of chaos, right? As is with any new technology, it's a new toy, and everybody wants to kind of see, how do I explore this toy, right? So like, which way do I look at it? There's going to be a lot of those experimental stuff comes in, and somebody's going to drop something, something is going to break. It's not like everything is going to be hunky-dory. There are going to be scenarios that those will come up, and obviously that's because the spotlight would be on it, right? So when there are like hundreds of thousands of Teslas running across the world, one Tesla hits something, then obviously that becomes a news, right? It's and you never get a news when like there are like at least 100 cars right now crashing in the world. That doesn't become news, right? So one Tesla does something, that becomes a news. So there is going to be a lot more attention to those happenings around the world, right? So there's going to be some amount of industry, regulation that will come in. I'm sure, like every country's industry bodies are going to come up with some level of self-regulation. That will happen after the initial excitement wanes off, and I don't think investors are going to pour money into creating toys. Right now, they will actually are going to invest some level of experimentation. After that, they're not going to give money for all that stuff, right? They're going to ask for real application, and more money will be given to the most applicable, the most useful technology for the humankind. I think it's just the nature of how things evolve, and it's going to come in. And obviously, like I said, the public-private partnerships where the government is going to kind of recognize those that are putting it to the right use, then they are going to be benefited by certain aspects. And more than anything, I think, see, there's always this AI. What really kind of brings about is our ability to think beyond what a certain set of humans can do, right? So we are always like, you could also think that this could be one of the history's greatest leveler, right? You never know. Countries small like a Malta or Monaco, could actually become powerful, if they are able to kind of really look at this and use this. So it could be a history's greatest leveler as well, right? So it's all about access. It's all about how different people are going to use this, and to kind of summarize, so you could actually bring some level of regulatory frameworks, some level of industry self-regulation, international agreements, the ethical AI education. So that's another aspect of this. So I'm sure like there's already a lot of things being talked about at ethics and all that. So even at Hubatica, for example, we do pretty much similar stuff to what Alan at his company does, right? So we actually work at intelligent document processing, and as we look at creating newer features, we are now thinking, okay, instead of me kind of really going through creating structures, which is what the current technology stuff is, that you'd actually create logic to kind of address certain things. Now, here is a way that I actually put everything together, bring things that are probably not connected and yet make some connections. So we could actually chat with things and so on and so forth, bring in some valuable insights, which is not humanly possible if you have to look at contracts that's been written over the last 20 years, 30 years, and kind of really bring about, okay, what are the certain aspects? It's like, unless like we put in like a team of 70, 80 people just doing that over a period of 5 to 6 years, then we can accomplish that. That's not going to happen, right? So look at a country like India, like where we have actually right now, using technology really good, but then just in the last 10 years ago, there's a lot of those documents were never digitized, whether it is the judicial documents, legislatures, so many other research documents. So what if we actually are able to kind of go through all of those amount of information and kind of synthesize, summarize, and have a look at it? I think it has so much benefits, but yet it can present dangers in the short term, but it will correct itself is what my thinking is.
Nice answer, Mahesh. Going to Amandeep. Amandeep, my question to you would be, what are the more practical alternatives to a 6 month moratorium? Like, what do you think it is?
Uh, that's a really good question, Saranya. But the answer is definitely it won't be a moratorium from my side. If I consider, definitely not in that sense. It may be many other aspects, if to control a system, as just Alan mentioned and Mahesh mentioned. So before I state anything about on the alternatives, so I'm completely in the same pursuit or the same view, of Mahesh, Alan, and Apurva, how they stated. The the pause is not the solution, or it's not taking us anywhere, right? We need to look at these aspects as well. So there has been a significant growth, exponential growth, I may say, in the recent times of AI. From past 30 years, there has been growth, and as Alan mentioned, there's a growth, there's something back. We go forward, and there's some kind of sensation that we create. But with AI, we have seen exponential growth, right? And talking about more into details about how it works, it's totally a different thing when we talk for OpenAI. But I want to mention the main reason why this is a halt or purpose for 6 months. Firstly, the advancement that it is going when we talk about GPT-3 or GPT-4, this kind of automation that is being provided to us is not being. We are not ready for that kind of automation till IT is not ready to see such a kind of automation. I'll just tell you something about when we talk about GPT-3, we use it for various parameters. Many people use it for clicking post, doing multiple things of marketing, sales, writing mails. Schools are using for doing some essay writings and all. But understand, in just less than a year time, from training 175 billion parameters and to going to 100 trillion parameters, the growth rate of GPT-4 is like 500 to 600 times than GPT-3. So we are scared of that type of growth rate. And if you just read about the potential of GPT-5 that is being planned or in talks to release in by 2024, the empathy and the reasoning that it will have and the parameters that it can be trained. GPT-4, it has multimodal, it can take text, it can find objects in text. Now they are planning for video consumption in GPT-5. It will be more 600 to 500 or maybe 1,000% of growth towards that model. So I think that's the fear, to go to these models, that we are not ready for it. But as Alan, rightly mentioned, I would like to take his point. We as business, when we talk about LLMs, like large language models, we are still exploring it in the form of specific use cases that we can put, like for using large language models for documentation, for some kind of communication. We are still finding and entering into the use cases that we can take the optimum use of it. As talking to various vendors, who talk about large language models. Now they don't talk about GPT. See, it's not about that GPT is causing a problem. Various businesses, they might use GPT, but there are some regulations in GPT also. It gives answers to some specific question. It doesn't give answers to specific question, but that can be jailbreak. So a business incorporating plugging into Chat GPT into its business, they are exploring themselves to risk, more exploring themselves to risk. But that's not the case. We need proper governance model or policies that can help us regulate where the crime starts. you know, just it's so easy for us to learn, coding. It's just for cybersecurity hackers, it's so easy for them to learn and launch attacks. So we need proper governance model who can identify and justify, okay, this is criminal activity, right? I always say that, whenever a new technology revolution is there, there are resistance, and we all see a resistance. Just seem like, years back when IoT came into picture, people show resistance of sharing personal data, wearing Fitbits and all. But eventually, over the time, everything just went so normal with the proper governance models and privacy requests and all those regulations. Everything is just normal. We are using it on a very good scale, and we effectively. Mahesh also mentioned, we humans have been creating nuclear bombs from such a long time, but we are diligent how to use that properly. So I think, the best alternative, if I could suggest, is definitely not moratorium. We just need proper governance body who can have a proper governance model. Again, to see this governance model, it will be again a big time thing, because every country, right? Every country has different landscapes of governing themselves. So we just need to see international collaboration. Just like, ChatGPT is banned in Italy, it's banned in China because China is building its own AI. We don't know. As Alan just mentioned, we just know very little about the things that are aware. Very, very superlative things are kept confidential. So the mindset that these people are bringing, like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Microsoft, they have a different mindset of moving towards these technology. But the thing is that we need the focus of the 6 months moratorium, because 6 months cannot stop a technology, right? It's the technology is something like a rolling stone. It will just roll it. No one can stop. A 6 months cannot play any role. The thing is that hindering everyone's focus to security models. Okay, we need security, guys. We are going advancing, but we need some third party to govern on how we are advancing. So I think that's the main focus. It's not the question that whether we have to 6 months can hold us or technology, but I think it's time to focus on special issues or security concerns, so that we can have a big and brighter future, and we could truly explore the potential of LLM in the coming future. So to just conclude it, I would say everyone's take should be that we need responsible AI, and we need to take measures, no moratoriums, right? We need more responsible AIs, and we just need to work towards innovation. So we have to do innovation, because we all being technology and enthusiasts, we always seek out to innovations and developing and growing forward with the technology that we have. And I think that's everyone's take that we have.
Would anyone like to add on to what Amandeep just said?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with what he said, right? So responsible AI is going to be critical, and I think more people propose that, and really bring it in. It is going to happen. So great points there.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining. I think we'll close the discussion here. So I hope everyone had a great time, and we'll be looking forward to many more such discussions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
team.
guys.
It was a great discussion with you. Thank you so much.